Hello and welcome to another edition of Bali News. I'm your host, Mr. Steve. In this episode of Bali News, I'm going to talk about something that might not be directly affecting Bali and the Bali news stories that I usually produce, but it has some major significance on Indonesia as a whole. And especially people like myself who've been going to Bali for more than 25, 30 years and were also there when the bombings occurred in the early 2000s around some of my favourite haunts like Padis Irish Bar and the Sari Club, then a few years later Jimbaran Bay and Kuta Square. So when I hear about a story of a Muslim fundamentalist returning to Indonesia, I have a close look at the story. In this case, it's the Muslim cleric and fundamentalist Rizieq Shihab. He's been in exile in Saudi Arabia for 3 years, but he's the leader of the Islam Defenders Front, or as they call it in Indonesia, the FPI. He returned to Indonesia on Tuesday last week after nearly 3 years of self-proclaimed exile in Saudi Arabia. Now, just to give you a little bit of a backstory, he's been involved with the Islam Defenders Front for many, many, many years, since the 1990s. And he's been involved in many typical Muslim fundamentalist situations in Indonesia that have occurred over the years, and mostly minor things of attacking clubs and bars and things like that, especially during Ramadan, and mostly in Jakarta. But he does have a huge following, and him being in exile for 3 years only seems to have increased his popularity. Anyway, he arrived back at Jakarta International Airport, Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, and thousands upon thousands of people were there to greet him, creating absolute chaos at the airport, which delayed flights from Jakarta and into Jakarta, affecting everybody all around Indonesia for many, many hours. Now, he's arrived. You can see some of the pictures that I'll put up here of the crowds there. They're just incredible. But some of the interesting backstories about this chap were he actually went into exile. He disappeared to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia on the basis that he was going for the regular pilgrimage to Mecca, but he never returned because at the time he was being charged with pornographic material exchange via social media. As it turns out, one of his followers, a female follower of his, he was accused of sending pornographic photos to her, which obviously if he had been prosecuted for, or would have been very, very damaging to a Muslim cleric and his reputation especially. So anyway, he's arrived Tuesday of last week, and already the news feeds are buzzing.
Mr. Steve! Mr. Steve!
So as you can imagine, the Indonesian news press is a little bit more sort of tempered in the headlines about this story. So I've jumped to Australia and the Australian newspaper, which came out with a headline a lot more expected of the Australian. The headline reads, "Ex-porn fugitive Rizieq Shihab returns to launch Indonesian moral revolution." So the reason I'm covering this story is because Indonesia is the world's biggest Muslim country. And for me and you, lovers of Bali, they're like a little tiny microcosm of a Hindu faith, kind of a Hindu-Buddhist faith, and right in the middle of this huge Muslim country. And any type of fundamentalism could really, really change the outlook for Indonesia. And selfishly, us tourists that want to go to Bali and love Bali so much. So it appears that one of the reasons that Shihab has returned now, just a week ago, was to attend his daughter's wedding. So straight away, he attends his daughter's wedding just the other day, and he's already been slapped with a 50 million rupiah fine, which is about $3,500 US, because they found the controversial cleric guilty of disregarding COVID-19 health protocols when organising a public event that attracted large crowds over the weekend. He was responsible for not limiting the number of guests attending his daughter's wedding, which also served to commemorate the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad in central Jakarta on Saturday evening. Despite having violated the physical distancing protocol, Rizieq expressed appreciation for his supporters' enthusiasm during the event. "It's okay. This is what my supporters' enthusiasm looks like. I hope we will be delivered from any diseases and that Allah will soon eradicate the coronavirus pandemic," he went on to say. He further said, "Don't forget, everyone has to follow the command of clerics and ulamas." The next controversy happened when a local Indonesian celebrity, Nikita Mirzani, name-called Rizieq Shihab on social media. Now, not many of you might know who Nikita Mirzani is. She's an actress in Indonesia, quite famous actress. And with a country that big, you don't have to be famous outside of Indonesia to be very, very popular with them. And it's no secret, the article says, it's no secret that Nikita Mirzani is one of the most outspoken Indonesian celebrities out there. But there are concerns about her safety after she made a snide remark about Islamic Defenders Front leader Rizieq Shihab. The 34-year-old recently went on Instagram Live where she promoted her businesses, and mocked Rizieq's return to Indonesia, which marked the end of his self-imposed exile. Nikita said that Rizieq's welcoming event, which saw thousands of his supporters crowding the international airport on Tuesday, was excessive. Because of Habib Rizieq's return to Jakarta, the welcoming event was insane. Traffic jams everywhere, she went on to say. "What I know is that Habib means Tukang Obat, medicine man. Habib is a charlatan, don't glorify him. Prophet Muhammad, he's clearly a prophet. While this human always makes trouble, but he gets a warm welcome." So there's a little bit lost in translation there, obviously. She said possibly mistaking the Indonesian word Habib, an honorific title in Islam, with Tabib, medicine man. But anyway, the actress turned entrepreneur also said she didn't fear retaliation by Rizieq supporters, as they're known to be fierce when it comes to defending the firebrand cleric. However, in response, Mahir at Tulawabi, a cleric and colleague of Rizieq, called out Nikita in a video and threatened to bring along hundreds of Islamic defenders to raid her home. He even went as far as calling her a lonti, which means slut. To quote what this man said, "I warn you, in 24 hours, if you don't make a clarification and a public apology, I, Mahir at Tulawabi, along with an army of 800 Islamic defenders, will besiege your house. I am serious, I'm not playing around. Let's see what happens. Our blood will be poured to defend the honour of the Prophet's grandson," he said in the video, making a reference to unsubstantiated claims that Rizieq is a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. Obviously, police officers have been guarding Nikita's home in South Jakarta as a precaution against the threat. So you can see the threats are already starting. He's only been home for a week, and already he's in the headlines almost every day. So this man is popular, and popular uprisings like this can be very, very scary for some people and very attractive for others. But purely from a selfish point of view, I wouldn't like to see such close neighbours of ours and popular destinations of ours going all fundamentalist. And I only just have to remind myself of being at the Sari Club and being at Paddy's Irish Bar a matter of 3 or 4 weeks before the bombings. And as it turned out, the bombings were delayed because they were hoping to do it on September the 11th, which would have been around about the time I was there. So it's very personal to me when I see these sort of news stories coming up. So hope you're interested in that. It's just a short one, midweek. Normally do my news stories on a Sunday and cover off a few items, but just thought I'd devote my little Wednesday night to getting that one out to you. So this is Mr. Steve. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to all the new subscribers. We're growing ever so slowly, and really appreciate it. Catch you very soon.